It looks like we're right about there with our attendees. So welcome everybody to Microsoft Excel charts, tables, and visualizations. My name is Maggie. I'm a librarian here with the Plano Public Library. We also have Bonnie, another Plano Public Librarian, joining us to help facilitate the chat, and Emery to help with any tech support. This class has been designed around knowing some basic computer and Excel skills. If you need to brush up on those or wish to learn about basic computer skills in Excel, we do have some online resources for you. So I will try to take it slow in case you are practicing along with me. So thank you in advance for your patience and welcome. This is Microsoft Excel charts, tables, and visualizations. The goal for today's class is to learn about and use some Excel tools to help your data tell a story for meetings, reports, or for a general understanding of your data. As I previously said, in the email for this class at the bottom, towards the bottom, there is a link to a Google Drive. This is where you can get the practice spreadsheet I will be using for today's class. So I'm going to back out of this PowerPoint and show you. Here we go, practice spreadsheet. I'm going to download it to my computer. So find that downward arrow and it will pop up in the bottom of your browser. Click to open. And here's our spreadsheet we are going to be using for all of our fun today. In order to use it, I'm going to have to enable editing. We're good to go. In this document, we have a list of employees and their monthly sales figures for a calendar year, along with some calculations, total sales, average sales. And then below that are 2 employees pulled out with their sales figures for 2 calendar years. We have Randy and Wanda. We are going to use these pieces of data to use some visualization tools like charts and graphs. Visualizing your data is helpful when numbers are overwhelming and can use some clarification. But first, let's do a brief review of Excel and introduce some vocabulary I will be using throughout the class. So, at the top of the program is what we call the Quick Access Toolbar, which includes Save, Undo, Redo. And here with this drop-down menu, you could add more options to your Quick Access Toolbar. I like to add spelling, have my spell check handy. There we go. In the middle will be the name of your file. Below that is the ribbon. The ribbon has all the tools you may need to structure, organize, and formulate your data. Below the ribbon, right here, in this box on the left-hand side, that's called the name box. The name box shows the name of a selected cell, and each of these are cells. And the name is based on what column and what row the selected cell is. So here, the selected cell is in column D and row 5. So the name of the cell is D5. The columns are alphabetical order, while the rows are numerical, and we cannot change this. Next door to the name box is our formula bar, right here, which shows the text in our cell D5. It says 625, so that is what's in our formula bar. But I'm going to click on over here, this calculation we have off to the right, and that used a formula. So that is what's showing up in our formula bar. So all of our data is on one sheet here. If you wanted to, you can have multiple sheets in your file. Down here at the bottom, you can add additional sheets if you want to. I'm not going to need those, so I'm just going to right click and delete. If you need to rename, You can double click or you can right click on the sheet to rename. My data here is for the calendar year of 2019. So let me just go ahead and edit the sheet name. And there we go. At the bottom right-hand corner, we have options to zoom in, get a little bit closer to our data. But I have a lot of data on my sheet, so I'm going to keep it at 100% for now. So back to the ribbon. I want to highlight some of the tools we'll be using today. On the Home tab and in the middle, we have a drop-down option for conditional formatting. We'll be using that a lot today. This can apply specific formatting to cells. It's often used as a color-based formatting system to highlight, emphasize, or differentiate your data. Next, we'll be moving over to the Insert tab on the ribbon. In the middle, we have charts. There are a variety of charts to choose from, including the bar graph, which are used to compare things between different groups or to track changes over time. Another popular one is line graphs, which are used to track changes over short and long periods of time. When smaller changes exist, line graphs are maybe better to use than bar graphs. Below that are pie charts. It's best to use those when you are trying to compare parts to a whole. Right here in the middle, we have histograms, which show a statistical analysis of your data. And below that, we have a scatter plot to show a relationship between data sets. So we'll just use a handful of the available charts, but as you can see, there's a lot to choose from. So on your own, you can venture out and have some fun. So I think we're ready to get started with conditional formatting. So let's go back on our Home tab. For this tool, I want to see how the employees are doing with their total sales in regards to sales goals. So first, we will need to highlight the totals in the total sales column. So you click and drag to highlight all the cells you want to use. We'll come up here to conditional formatting, highlight cell rules, and then we're going to use greater than. Now we have a box. And what number do we want to use to find those cells that are greater than, let's do 6,000. These are the employees that have done over 6,000, which is great. That's their sales goals. Who are meeting and exceeding their sales goals? Because I want to see who's exceeding and who's doing great, I'm going to change that color to make it green because these are good employees meeting those sales goals. Click OK. And right away, we see who is doing a good job with their sales. Let's go ahead, undo that. The reversal is also available. So we're going to keep those numbers under total sales highlighted. Click on conditional formatting, highlight sales rules, and try less than. So now I want to see who is not quite meeting the sales goal of 6,000. And since they're not quite meeting those goals, I will keep it red. And here we go. Right away, I can see who is having a little trouble and might need a little bit of coaching. So we have Pedro, Mary Jo, and Jacqueline. Let's undo that. We are going to undo a lot because I want to make sure the changes that we do stand out as we work along. But it is possible to do several conditioning formatting options on one sheet. Now, let's take a look at the conditional formatting and the top bottom rules. So I'm going to click on top 10 items. Now, I only have 10 employees and I want to separate them in half. Who are my leading sales people and who are my bottom sales people? So I'm going to change this to 5 because that's half of the group. And these are my top sales people. So I'm going to change that again to green and click OK. So here's my top 5 salespeople. I'm not going to undo that because now we are going to determine who are the bottom 5 salespeople. So let's highlight again. Click on conditional formatting, top bottom rules. And now we're going to do the bottom 10 items. This time, change it to 5 as well. And keep it red for the bottom 5. And there we go. We can clearly see who are the higher performers compared to the lower performers. These conditional formatting tools, again, just help your data tell a story or what you need to know in order to move forward with your business. Let's go ahead and undo. Another option to view the differentiations in data is with data bars. So, conditional formatting, once again, we're going to use the first option in the second block, data bars. So as you hover over that option, you see there's gradient fills or solid fills. You can choose whatever your heart desires, what color you like and how you want it to look. I kind of like this solid fill blue. I'm going to click that. And here we go. This is a way for your data to compare all the numbers in a visualizing way. Another way, instead of undoing over and over again, if you have some conditional formatting going on, is to click on conditional formatting. And there's an option to clear all the rules. And you can clear it from selected cells or from the entire sheet. So I'm going to click on rules from the entire sheet, and that takes away that conditional formatting. Okay. I'm going to keep on with my total sales numbers here to help tell my data story. Highlight those once again. Now let's check on the second option in that second block, color scales. And again, this is just color coding based on your numbers and what you can do to color code. I'm going to go ahead and click on more rules because it will give me a few more options to help figure out my data here. So first of all, I want to change my format style to a 3-color scale because I've done a lot of top, bottom, half, above sales goals. This kind of breaks it out even more to 3 different color scales. And when you do that, you can figure out your midpoint. My midpoint number, or you could do a percent, a formula, percentile. You can change the color. I kind of like my lowest values in red, midpoint in yellow, and maximum in green. Is that street-like color coding is pretty universal. So let's go ahead, click OK. And there we go. Kind of see where everybody is at with their sales goals. See who needs a little bit of help, who's in the midpoint and just probably could have used a little bit of help. Okay. Going to clear that rule from the entire sheet. And one more tool under conditional formatting. It's probably my favorite tool because it's a little fun. Let's click our data here one more time, conditional formatting, and then there's these icon sets. And again, it's just a fun way for your data to tell a story. We have our traffic light colors here, flags, little mini graphs right in the cells, arrows. So let's see let's do the flags. I like the flags. So we've got a few red flags. Oh no, maybe these employees could use a little help in order to get their sales goals up. So that is a few of the conditional formatting tools we have in Excel to really help visualize your data. I'm going to clear those rules. So now let's jump over to charts. Charts are useful for reports, marketing pieces, presentations to be a visual aid for your data. So let's find that Insert tab up here in our ribbon. And charts are listed again here in the middle. But in order to create a chart with the right data, you will want to highlight the data you want to use before you select a chart. So I am going to start with A1, click and drag to highlight all of our monthly sales figures for all the employees out to M11. And the first chart we are going to use is a bar graph. So we click on the down arrow, and there's different options here. You can do 2D, 3D, side, whatever works for you. I want to use the second option here under 2D, the stacked column, because it helps compare parts of a whole and show how parts of whole change over time. I have multiple employees with multiple months of sales figures, so that might work for me for now. So let's go ahead and click on that. And now we have a chart. I'm going to click on the chart and drag it off to the side so we can not cover up our data there. It's a basic chart we can edit to fit our needs. So first, let's change the title of the chart by double-clicking on the title. And as you can see, options pop up here on the right-hand side and overtake my view. So let me just bring that over for a little bit as we work on it. Gonna double-click to change my chart title. And let's change it to sales per month. And if we wanted to, we could change the fill of our text box there. Text options, change the text color. Whatever you would like to do to be visually appropriate for your needs. Also, when a chart is selected, so it's not selected right now, but when I'll go ahead and select it, a tab will pop up on our ribbon here that is specific for the chart and editing your chart. And this is our chart tool. Starting on the left side, and we'll move right to just review things. We had add chart elements here, where if you want to add axes titles here, we can add one to the horizontal and also add one on the vertical. So here, we're on my horizontal, that's all of our months for the calendar year of 2019. So I'll change that to 2019. And vertical here, we have some total sales figures. So just add some visual cues for our chart here. Another element that might be helpful for the look of your chart is the legend. You can have no legend or move it to the right. or move it to the top. Again, it's whatever you would like to do with your chart to make it work for you and your reports or your presentation, however you need it to look. All right, moving down our chart tools ribbon here. If you wanted to, you can change your color scheme. You could maybe use the colors of your organization. There we go. And then next to that are some different chart styles. Make it look a little fancier. I like this last one here. It really stands out on the sheet with this black background. So another tool on our chart tools ribbon here is you can switch your row and column. So let's go ahead and do that and see what happens. And now we have all of our employees listed on the horizontal axis and total sales here. And I think that's a better way to see how our employees are doing throughout the year.
Maggie, it's Bonnie. Do you have 1 second for a question from the chat?
Yes.
We were just hoping for a quick point out to where you had set the original sales goal of 6,000, I recall hearing you say. We had some questions as to where you would set a goal like that.
Oh, that was just a random goal based on our data here. It was just a made up number of what my organization wants my employees to reach as their sales goal. So you could, as long as you have a sales goal in mind, you can set that as your midpoint, your differentiating point. Does that make sense?
Okay, back in the conditional formatting.
Yeah,
Okay.
so let's go here to highlight those total sales conditional formatting. And it was under the highlight sales rules. Sorry, my Texas accent comes out when I try to say that. So we're going to go to greater than. And right here, I just want to call out all the employees that were doing better than my random made up sales goal figure, which would be 6,000. So that's what I typed in there. These are the employees that are doing better than the sales goal. So we'll make that green because yay, they're doing a good job. And that's where the sales goal figures into differentiating your data.
Perfect. That's exactly what they were looking for.
Okay, yeah, my random 6,000.
And then the follow-up question to that was, does that setting that follow the icons as well? All of that based off of that original setting?
With the icons, let's see, let's go to more rules. And under each of those options and with conditional formatting, whether it is the highlight cells rules, top bottom rules, data bars, color scales, or icon sets, there is options for more rules on each and every one of those. And that when you click on that, you can figure out what values you want to use. So this is currently at 1%, so I could change that to this is greater than 6,000. Let's see. I'm gonna clear rules real quick. Let's try that again. Icon sets, more rules. Greater than value 6,000. Let's see. Yeah. So I didn't differentiate a midpoint. So it made all of those that are above 6,000, greater than 6,000, those green icons, and everybody below that would be that red icon because I didn't set it a middle point. But yes, you can do that for all the different options. Just go into more rules and you can really set up all the number midpoints, percentages, sales goals, whatever numbers you want to use to be the defining points throughout your data.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Okay. So we were looking at our bar graph here, and we had just changed, let's see, we had just switched our row and column data and put our employees as the horizontal differentiators. There we go. All right. So if you wanted to call out specific employees and see their data, there is the option for a chart filter that pops up when your chart is selected. And we have our categories. So the series is our months and the categories here. So select all is currently selected, but we could deselect and pull out Randy, Wanda, and Ricky and apply. And that will reconfigure our chart with our specific employees and who we want to look for at the time. Going to select them all again, apply, and get back to our original chart. So that is a bar chart for now, bar graph. So I'm going to move that off to the side as we create another chart. And we will create a chart with our employee Randy's numbers down here. So what I want to do is I'm going to click and drag to highlight all the months and then the 2 years of data. And I want to make this into a fun pie chart. So let's come on over to the Insert tab on our ribbon, find our charts, and click on the option for pie charts. Again, here, whatever you want it to look like, you can do a 2D, 3D, a donut. I'm going to go with a basic 2D pie. There we go. Going to scroll on down. We'll place it over here so we can see our data just right above our chart. Again, we'll want to rename the title of our chart, and we'll do Randy's sales figures. So again, when a chart is selected, you'll have a new tab on your ribbon to formulate and change the look of your chart. But with a pie chart, we have different elements that we could add as compared to that bar graph. So we have our chart title. Currently, it's above the chart. You can move it in different locations. The next option is to add data labels, and that will add a number to the different pieces of the pie and where you would like to put that. So I want to add those numbers to see what I'm looking at, but I'm going to place them on the outside. Make it look a little clean. And now that the numbers are there, it's a little more telling of what data we are looking at. And it looks like these numbers are just for 1 year. That's because pie charts, like all charts, have some limitations. It's hard to compare 2 years with a simple pie chart. We could use maybe a different chart for that, but let's figure this out and work through it. So again, when you select your pie chart, there will be options to, you can add the elements here or in the banner up at the top. But I want to click on this chart filters. And I see there is a radio dial button that's stuck on series 1, and then there's series 2 available. So it looks like, yeah, series 1 is our 2019 numbers. So I'm going to guess that if I click on series 2, that'll be our 2018 number. So let's go ahead and try that. We'll click on series 2 and apply. Yeah, our numbers did change to 2018. So with the limitation with pie charts, it's hard to compare 2 years of data. So let's switch our chart and try something else. We can easily do that while keeping our pie chart here for just a moment. You don't have to delete it and do it all over again. We'll come up here to the chart tools ribbon and click on change chart type. And this time I'm going to use a scatter plot. That will be a good way to compare 2 years worth of data. So click OK. And it has changed our pie chart to a scatter plot. But it's still just showing 1 year's worth of data. That's okay. We'll go back into our filter, chart filters button here on the right-hand side of the graph. And now it's boxes where we can have both sets of data. Yay! And we'll click to apply. So we have both our 2019 and 2018 sales data for Randy. With scatter plots, you tend to add a trend line, which is now an element listed here. You can do linear, exponential, forecast, moving average. I'm kind of most familiar with linear, so I'm going to go ahead and add that. And it wants to ask you which year you want to do this for. So we'll do series 1, which is 2019. And we can also add a second trend line for our second year. So let's do another linear for series 2. And there we go. We have our trend lines for Randy's data for 2019 and 2018. See how he's doing. Looking pretty good, Randy. How we doing? Bonnie, do we have any questions that I could answer at this moment?
I believe we are looking good and caught up on questions, but attendees, if we haven't answered your question yet, please go ahead and put it in the chat because as far as I can see, we're caught up.
Okay, good. We're going to move on to tables. So why create a table? Isn't Excel just one big table? That's a good question. A table can be helpful to sort and filter your data set. So let's see that in action. I want to create a table with my employees and the monthly sales figure here. So I'm going to click and drag to highlight all the cells I want included. There we go. And there's a couple different ways you can create a table. Right here on the Home tab, there is the option to format as a table, but it's also listed here in the Insert tab, Table. When I click on it, it's going to ask you, where is the data you want for your table? I had already highlighted it before, but if you hadn't, that's when you could click and drag to highlight. And I do want to keep this box checked for my table has headers. Click OK. And it has now turned our data set here into a table. Click to unhighlight, and this is where you can really filter and organize your data in a way that is working for you and your evaluation of your data. So I'm going to click on January's drop-down option here, and then I can sort my employees and see who did the best in January. So let's do sort largest to smallest. And there we go. It has restructured our data here, and we have figured out, hey, Wanda did a great job in January. If you want to, you can change the look of your table up here at the top, whatever color you'd like to use. Drop down option gives you tons more options. Look at that. That's nice and big contrast there. I like it. So once you're happy with the look of your table, you're good to go. So you might have noticed when I clicked on insert and there's these options for pivot tables. A pivot table is a reporting and summation tool that gives you information about Excel table. It's a pretty advanced tool that we'll be actually having a class on soon, November 11th. So if you are interested in learning more about pivot tables, come back to us on November 11th and we will see you there. So I want to show you a pretty fun tool that I found out recently, and I really like it. They're called Sparklines, and they are small scale line graphs within a cell. Yeah, weird, huh? So let's take a look at that. I'm going to actually undo my table here. So undo, get back to our original data set there. And I'm going to select my total sales figure here, this massive number off to the right-hand side. Click on Insert, and we have Sparklines here to the right of Charts. Sparkline. And I'm going to then click the cell where you want your Sparkline. And OK. That didn't work. That's okay. We're always figuring it out. I'm gonna go back. I need to highlight all my total sales here. Let's go back to Insert, Sparkline, and you select the cell where you want to place your Sparkline because again, it's a line graph just within a cell. It's a pretty small graph. So let's put it here under the total sales figure. Oh, and there we go. Isn't that cool? It's just a little line graph within a cell. And what you can do is you can add points on your line graph. You can figure out where your high point is, low point, change the color, whatever you'd like to do. And you could actually do this for all the employees. So what we'd need to do is for Randy, we'll start with January. Click and drag to highlight all the cells for each month. Click on Insert, Line, and you find your cell where you want to place your Sparkline. Here we go. And click OK. And now there's a little line graph for Randy from January to December. And easily you can add a Sparkline for each of your employees by finding this square dot in the bottom right-hand corner of this cell. Your cursor will become a plus sign. You'd click and drag all the way to the last employee, Louisa. And there we go. We have Sparklines for each of our employees and their yearly sales figures. I just thought those were really nifty. They're really fun. A great way to visualize the data for each of your employees here. Another fun tool I want to share with you is called Trace Precedence. So you were given this spreadsheet and you might not know what this number is off to the right-hand side. Sorry about that. My computer just wanted to make updates. So I can click on my sales figure here, come up here to the Formulas tab in our ribbon. And there is an option here more to the right of the center to trace precedence. and it will have arrows that indicate where cells are that affect the currently selected cell. Sounds a little confusing, but it makes sense once you see it. So let's click on Trace Precedence. Oh, I got this number by adding up all of our total sales for each of employees all year long. I'll click it again. And look at that, the total sales, it was January through December added up for each of our employees. And you can keep on clicking that until you hear that sound, and it means it has finished tracing precedence. So again, no more precedence to trace. So that helps you figure out where calculations came from. If you got a random spreadsheet wondering where those calculations came from, you can trace the precedence by using it under the Formulas tab on the ribbon. And to remove those precedents, you'll just click on Remove Arrows and it'll take it away. So the last visualization tool I want to show you is more about adding shapes to help call out your data. So I'll click on Insert in our ribbon, Shapes, and I want to, let's do a call out here at the bottom. Click and drag to create our shape. There we go. And we can change the color if you want. Nice green. There we go. And we'll edit the text, right click, and we can say, great job, Randy. I'm gonna increase my font size. Oh, a little too big. There we go. Great job, Randy. So if there's a report calculating all the data for Randy's annual evaluation, add a fun call out shape. Yay, Randy, good job. So do we have any questions?
Sure. There's one question about when you were working with tables. The question was, does that work you did with the table in any way change the chart you made?
No, it shouldn't, because it's the same data It just changed the location of the data within the table. So it won't affect the chart because I didn't change any actual numbers or names or months. So it shouldn't have any impact on it. It was just to sort the data right then and there for that moment.
Great, sounds good. That's all I see for now. But again, attendees, if we haven't answered your question yet, please go ahead and put it in the chat again.
Yeah. Well, that is what I have to share with you today, all about creating charts, basic tables, and using visualization tools to help your data tell a story. If I haven't covered something that you are interested in, I recommend that you check out Linda through the library's website. It's a free tool for you with your Plano library card. Let me show how you can get to it. So planolibrary.org is the library's website. You'll click on Learn. Scroll down to Research and Learn. And here's where we have a lot of databases and resources listed out for you. Lynda.com, great resource for providing online training courses that cover a variety of topics. It's great for any technology training, but also if you want to do painting, drawing, customer service, you name it, there might be a course in Lynda for you. So you'll click on that. And when you do, you'll have to enter your library card number. And it will bring you into Linda. I went ahead and searched for some Excel courses. So if you really want to work on your Excel skills, Linda is the place to go because there are 6,551 results to learn Excel. If you're a beginner, you can click on the skill level to narrow it down. So what we did today might be more the intermediate level. So if you feel really comfortable with that and you want some challenging courses, you can go into advanced and see what there is to learn. One of my favorite courses is Excel Weekly Tips. This is a lengthy resource of options to learn about Excel. Dennis Taylor creates all these videos. They range from 6 minutes to 10 minutes, just roughly around that time. And it's very specific and focused videos. So here's one on pivot tables, etc. Just learn all different parts of Excel because there is so much you can do with Excel. And I fully recommend Mr. Dennis Taylor and his courses here on the Excel Tips Weekly. And if you're wanting some one-on-one help with a Plano librarian, we do have a book a librarian service. So let's go back to the Plano Library website. Under the About tab, there is an option here to get help from a librarian. Click on that. And then to book a librarian. It's a form that you'll fill out with your contact information, describe what your need is. So if you want a little help on Excel basics, go for it. We can get you set up. And like I said, we do have more Excel classes coming up. Pivot tables, November 11th. Once again, pivot tables, November 11th. And we are going to do an Excel series of classes in December, starting with the basics all the way up to pivot tables again. So if you want to join in on basics, we'll have a couple classes at the beginning to middle of December. You can find those on our website. Do we have any questions before we end our session today?
Nothing has popped up in the chat.
Okay. I want to thank you all so much for coming today. Again, join us for another class. Hope you enjoy the beautiful weather and a lovely weekend.